Is my internet working though? Hello, hello. Yo, hello everyone. Can everyone hear me? How do I share this stream? I don't even know how to do it. Hello. Thank you for the birthday wishes. What's up, everyone? How's everyone doing? It is indeed my birthday. Hope everyone's having a good day or evening. It's currently evening where I am. Kind of a chill day for me. I kind of did sort of a mini celebration for my birthday this past weekend, which was also Memorial Day weekend, which is usually like a gathering type of holiday in the United States. So yeah, today I'm kind of just chilling, if I'm being honest. What up, everyone that's joining the stream? What's up, Jaime, Caroline, Joe Bob? Is it Leech Liquor? Flame King? Kronos? What's my favorite thing I've ever done for my birth anniversary? My favorite thing ever? I don't know. I do usually, like, it's I've kept it low key this year, but I did make a choice a few years ago to try to do something on my birthday, because as you guys probably know, the older you get, the less of a big deal your birthday usually is. Especially you get to a point where no one's gonna like care about your birthday, so you have to care about it yourself. So I did decide to do things. So I usually like plan like a trip, go rent an Airbnb somewhere and invite a bunch of friends and just chill, or go to the beach or go to the lake or something and just relax. So I usually try to do something like that, and those are always fun. I can't think of anything like super that stands out as the best of all time, but I like to do stuff like that. Do you always celebrate? I don't care for mine. Not that it upsets me. It's just another day to me, but I understand the importance most people place on it and can celebrate for others. I mean, it's up to you. If you don't personally care, then that's fine. But if the reason that you don't care is because it doesn't seem like anyone else cares, then it's just on you to make it important. I think, at least in my experience, I think my friends are, excited to celebrate with other people, but they're not going to force it on you. Usually you have to put in the initiative to get people together yourself, which I chose to do because I don't know, I just like to have fun in my life. So I look for any excuse to do that, basically. And birthdays are a very good excuse to do something fun. Here's a question with a bit of self-interest. If you were going to DM a group for a 4 to 6 session campaign, would I homebrew or do a pre-con? I mean, I think either option is fine. I don't really have a preference from one to the other. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with a pre-written campaign, and there's nothing wrong with homebrew. It just kind of depends what you feel up to doing. And even if you do use like a pre-written campaign, you can still add whatever you want to it. You don't have to, do it by the book. So I don't know. I don't really have a preference. I think both are fine. How does it feel to be 54? Well, not quite 54, but I am getting up there. Hopefully I still look like this when I'm 54. I can't hear anything because I don't got my headphones, but happy birthday. Cool. Well, thanks, even though you can't hear me. I get down on my birthday every year. Yep, I think you should. I think you might as well. But I understand not everybody values that sort of thing. But I don't know. Sometimes I think that people have this sort of weird aversion to having fun, and they think that it's cringe to have fun, and like being sad and edgy is cool. But I don't know. I don't feel that way. I look for any excuse to have fun. Thanks for the birthday wishes, everyone. How did I get to be so awesome? I'm sure that's subjective, but I guess if I am indeed awesome, it's due to a lot of trial and error and introspection and trying to not make the same mistakes that you made before. Appreciate the wishes as more people come in. I'm 63 and I'm half don't remember my age and half cake frosting and more frosting. I feel that. I sometimes forget my age, honestly. Yeah, back in the day, well, not back in the day, but like several years ago, I'd probably like go out and party or go to a bar or something like that. But that's something that I do less and less the older that I get. In fact, I kind of pretty much don't do it much at all anymore. But Can't really handle it. My birthday kind of snuck up on me this year because, as I said before, I usually have something planned, but I didn't really plan anything this year because I just wanted to keep it a little low key. And so I wasn't really thinking about it quite as much. Does it bum you out? Time cannot be stopped and your mortality is approaching, or is being happy generally make those thoughts moot and you become more positive? I think it is a little bit of a bummer that time doesn't stop, especially when you think about, you know, all the opportunities that you may have passed up and are now too far beyond. But overall, I'm a fairly positive and happy person, and I think just a good rule of thumb in life is to not stress yourself out about things that you can't change. Like, I don't know, my rule is whenever I start to feel sad about something or discontent about something, I think to myself, is this something that I can change? Can I do anything about this? So when it comes to aging, well, obviously you can't stop aging, or you can't stop getting older. You can't stop time. But, you know, what are the reasons that aging is kind of a bummer? Well, for example, you lose energy, maybe you gain weight, or maybe your appearance starts to dwindle. And those are actually things that you can work on. So I try to find the things I can work on and things I can't work on. So like when I was a kid, I always wanted to learn how to do a backflip. I'm just giving up on that. I'm not gonna be able to do a backflip. I'm just too far gone. You know, it's possible if I work really hard at it, but I just don't care enough to work that hard at it. But I can still, you know, exercise and try to eat well and, you know, make my life as comfortable as I can. But there are certain things I can change and some things I can't change. If you can't change it, then don't worry about it. You make it to your 60s, you don't owe the world anything. Do I feel any wiser from this time last year? Absolutely. I think my life is just a constant state of getting more and more wise. Hopefully that's the case for most people. Any book/movie recommendations? I don't really watch a lot of movies, so I probably don't have any movie recommendations. Especially if you mean like new movies. If you haven't seen Across the Spider-Verse, you should watch that. Book recommendations. If you're into like personal development type books, I recommend a book called Atomic Habits. I found it very helpful. And it's just about how to build good habits and how to break bad habits. I read a lot of like nonfiction, personal development type stuff, or just kind of like books that teach me stuff. You know who doesn't celebrate birthdays? Jehovah's Witnesses. That is true. I've had a couple friends that were Jehovah's Witnesses. Thanks everyone for the birthday wishes. Have I hit the 4-0 yet? No, but I'm close. I turned 39 today. I believe that's right. Wait, is it 39? Yeah, 39. That would have been wild if I was actually 40 and I didn't realize it. But no, 39. Just turned 33 Friday. Big ups, man. Happy late birthday. Happy late birthday to you. It's not late for me because today is actually my birthday, but late for you. Happy late birthday to you, Space J, as well. Appreciate it, Mango Man. It's interesting you made a video where you simply noped out of political commentary and being a bread tuber. I mean, I guess that's interesting. I was a little nervous to completely sort of change my content like that, but I do believe that it was the correct decision, and I am happy that I did it. As political discourse continues to get worse and worse on the internet, it does not seem to be improving at all. So honestly, I think I got out. Honestly, I got out too late. Should have did it earlier, but it would be even. It's even worse now than when I made that video. So. I meant my 60s comment in response to Luana. I figured. It's kind of a relief that you can't control everything. To some extent, I kind of agree with that, because it's less stuff that you have to worry about. I mean, I think that's a good way to. I mean, I know it's easier said than done. It's like just stop worrying is a little easier said than done. But if you can learn how to do that, I think it is a good way to reduce stress, because you just literally don't worry about stuff that you can't control. It also helps with, self-improvement and stuff, is because when you realize, oh, there's things I can't control, but there are things that I can control, and you start to hard focus on the things you can control, you can't help but like evolve and improve as a person if you do that. Because I think that what a lot of people end up doing is they worry so much about stuff they can't control, and they're so hyper focused on that they don't do anything about the things that they can control, and therefore they get stuck in this sort of stagnant place of misery and dissatisfaction. I thought I was 40 for the 3 birthdays before I turned 40. Nah, I think that I'm gonna be hyper aware of this coming year while I'm in my last year of my 30s. I had a panic attack when I first turned 30. Hopefully that doesn't happen. I don't think it will, but I was definitely a little stressed out when I turned 30, because I felt like my life was not on the track that I wanted it to be on at that age. But something you realize, or something I realized, is that even if you're in your 30s, like being in your 30s is not old. You still got a ton of life left to live, most likely. So there's still time to achieve the things that you want to achieve. Yep, my birthday is today, May 29th. But I do have to think about it. Because for a minute, like last year, for the first month, I was telling people I was 37 when I was actually 38 because I just couldn't keep track of it. But if I think about it for a second, I usually get it. We'll see how long that lasts. I don't think apolitical people realize just how toxic politics is. It's all encompassing and soul draining. I don't know. I think if people are paying attention to social media, they can probably tell how toxic it is. But maybe not, because the way social media works is it gives you more of kind of what you're into, and if you're not into politics, then maybe social media doesn't serve it to you quite as much. But you know, I'm not apolitical. I'm not saying that you were calling me that specifically, but I think a lot of people may have interpreted my video as me saying that I'm becoming apolitical. I think I even say in the video that I'm not becoming apolitical. I just don't think the internet is a good place to discuss politics. Or at least it has become a bad place to discuss politics. Maybe one day that will improve, although I don't have a lot of optimism about that. But I'm still happy to have, like, you know, good faith one-on-one conversations with people about politics. But I will say I'm less engaged in politics now, so I'm probably less informed as I used to be, because you know, making videos about politics used to be like the main thing that I did. So I was clearly a little more informed then. I kept up with stuff more, but I don't really feel the need to be as keyed in on every single thing right now. So I probably would be less apt to have a very good conversation about it. What's the best candle smell? I don't know. I don't think I know enough about candles. I like candles, actually. Candles are like my preferred way to deodorize the home. But I don't really specifically pay attention to the scents. I just kind of get whatever. I will say I don't like lavender smell. But outside of that, I don't know. In my 60s, I feel I must do everything to make my grandkids' lives better all around. I miss your political content. It helped me to connect with others, and you helped broaden my perspective. Well, I appreciate that. I've gotten a lot of comments like that, and I do, you know, acknowledge that, you know, people enjoyed the content. I mean, that's kind of where I built a lot of my audiences, from that content. So I get that, but you know, part of it, you know, it's kind of like a catch-22, because the internet, first of all, the people with the most extreme views and the most nonsense views are the ones that are most likely to speak up. So as a content creator, if you're like trying to start a discussion about something, it's those wacky comments that really stand out. You just see those way disproportionate. I'm not saying they're the majority, but they are a disproportionate amount of people that are just poisoning the well and don't have anything useful or charitable to say. So it kind of drowns out all the people that are really trying to have serious conversations. And like I said, it's gotten worse and worse over time. It's a bit sad, actually. And I think there are people out there that are okay with that. They understand that, they deal with that. But, you know, I was just like bummed out every time I looked at the comments. It's just kind of sad. And I literally had to stop going to Twitter for the same reason. Like, I don't even go to the website anymore, really. Just because the discussions on there are just ridiculous. It's like a weird alternate universe where everyone is just shitty. Like, I don't know what's going on. Who's your favorite Scrabble pro player? I don't know. I'm a very casual Scrabble watcher. I don't know enough of the players. I like Will Anderson's videos. Probably what's his name? Josh Sokol, Axer Typo. I think he's like, isn't he like the best player in North America right now? But yeah, I like the way he plays. He plays like really aggressively. But again, I don't know that many people. Like, I think a lot of Scrabble players play really defensively, but he plays aggressively. Appreciate it, Patrick. You just turned 44. That's what's up. I think my 40 is going to be good. I have high expectations. Been curious for a while if I have any thoughts on Abbott Elementary. I have only watched a few episodes of Abbott Elementary. I watched like the first few episodes. It seems fine. I wasn't like super wowed by it. It may be one of those shows that it takes a while to like hit their stride. It's very Parks and Rec vibes, which I'm sure they were inspired by Parks and Rec, but it seems like very similar to Parks and Rec. But again, it may be one of those shows that takes a while to sort of establish its identity. I did not see the Curb Your Enthusiasm finale. That's a show I need to watch more of. You must get Sterling K. Brown a lot, right? You guys are twins, except he is more handsome. Cool. I know who Sterling K. Brown is, although I don't think I have ever heard someone say that I look like him. This will be the first time. Appreciate it, Whimsical Mira's World. Is being apolitical even possible? I mean, everybody has got a worldview and opinions. I guess it just depends on how you define apolitical. But yeah, there are definitely people who don't think about politics that much. I've met a lot of them. And honestly, the people who don't think about politics that much seem to be quite much happier than everyone else. But also, it's easier for certain people to be apolitical than it is for other people, you know? Like, if you're a trans person, for example, it's pretty hard to be apolitical in America because that is all that a certain segment of politics wants to talk about is trans people. So it's kind of hard to ignore. So it's easier for, you know, if you're like a wealthy person in a majority group or something, it's a lot easier for you to be apolitical. That said, I think that people have become far too invested in politics and attach far too much of their identities to their political beliefs and to their political tribe. So I think that most people are too political. I don't think that this is the way it's supposed to be. I used to be that person. So this indicates an evolution of my personal views and my personal disposition. But I no longer think that politics has to be the end all be all for every single thing. There's kind of this idea that everything is politics and everything should be viewed through the lens of politics, and I just don't agree with that anymore. Appreciate it. OMG. Can't wait for your TikTok influencer era. Well, we'll see. I don't know about that. I'm not very good at short form content. I don't know how to do it. How many different platforms do you post on? Do you ever find it overwhelming? Yes, I stopped going on Twitter last year. Yeah, Twitter's bad. I post. I mainly just post on YouTube. I post on Instagram very rarely. Every now and then I will make a short vertical video and put it on Instagram and TikTok. But I don't really keep up with the short form stuff. I don't really keep up with Instagram or TikTok that much. I post on Threads a lot now. I kind of replaced Twitter with Threads because Threads is just a lot more chill. And also I feel like it's probably just more chill because there's, well, I was gonna say because there's less people posting on it, but doesn't Threads have a bunch of like 100 million viewers or users or something now? But anyway, I've kind of replaced Twitter with Threads for now, and I have like less than 1,000 followers on Threads, so it's just more chill. Maybe when I like get more followers, it will start to be as annoying as Twitter. But mostly I'm just a YouTube guy. I post like, I repost my YouTube videos on Facebook and Nebula. But as for original content, I'm just a YouTube guy. Appreciate it, Champion RD. Appreciate it, Random Nerd. What's my favorite movie? Difficult question. I haven't seen a lot of movies, so I feel like I'm not super qualified to talk about what the best movies are, but my favorites, I always say like, I'm a big Tarantino fan, so I always say like Kill Bill and Jackie Brown are two of my favorite movies. Also really love Scott Pilgrim versus the World. I love the movie Rush Hour, although that's mostly kind of a personal, not a guilty pleasure, but just like a comfort pick. Rush Hour. I have a lot of comfort picks like Rush Hour and Addams Family Values and Hook. Like those are three movies that I would never say are like the best movies ever made, but those are movies that I will always enjoy no matter how many times I watch them. Book recommendations, I recommend Atomic Habits. I said this earlier, but that's like the most recent book that I read that really affected me in a positive way. It's a nonfiction book about building good habits. Appreciate it, Shaloa. Appreciated Teague. Randomly got recommended this. They recommend live streams? I didn't even know that YouTube did that. But I appreciate the birthday wishes. Thank you, Vladimir. Thank you, John Werner. Do I think psychology is a real science? Yes. I don't think there's any reason to believe that it's not a real science. Happy birthday, bro. I've been subbed since high school and I'm 25 now. Time flies by. Wow. That's pretty good. So that means what? At least at least 7 years. So you're like an OG fan. Like you've seen this channel evolve several times if you've been watching for that long. That's what's up. Happy birthday. What's your favorite football team? My favorite football team is the Alabama Crimson Tide. Kill Bill is also one of my favorites. Jackie Brown is great. Haven't seen Rush Hour in years. Jackie Chan is a legend. Good answer. Just keeping it real. But yeah, there are probably other movies, but you know, like Avengers, the original Avengers movies is probably up there as in terms of just comfort picks that I know I'll always enjoy. I'm a big Marvel fan, so I like a lot of the Marvel movies, although I don't know if any of them are like my favorite movies. Guardians of the Galaxy might be up there. That movie's good. Am I getting lit/laid tonight? Well, the night is young. We'll see. I'm sure that I will partake of substances just because I do that every day. Probably won't get laid. There's no plans that seem to be leading that way. My disposition is way too chill for a content creator. You guys' whole thing is amassing the maximum amount of attention. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's why I don't have more subscribers than I do. I will say my disposition in my scripted videos is probably a little more energetic than this. But yeah, I'm a pretty chill person. That's kind of pretty notable aspect of the way I am. I'm also a little bit older, and I think my audience is a little bit older than average. Like I think my average age of my audience is like late 20s to mid 30s. So it's not like I'm like Mr. Beast who has like 13-year-olds watching my content. So I can be a little more chill and I can break things down a little bit more rather than just in your face. Oh my God, blah, blah. I don't think my audience really wants that. But you know, there are things that I've worked on over time. Like I do think there's certain aspects of my content that maybe could be made more exciting or more engaging. That's something I'm always working on and trying to improve. But that's one of the reasons why I like the live streams, because it's like we can just chill and people can kind of see an aspect of my personality maybe that doesn't always come through in the videos. But even in the live stream, like if you met me in person, I would probably be even more chill than I am right now. So that's how it goes. You have to perform a little bit for the camera, but I am going for a chill, positive vibe in my content. So hopefully that's coming through. Appreciate it, Cheyenne. Appreciate it, DJ. Interesting. Thanks for the answer. Stumbled upon the stream randomly. What kind of content do you make? Are you planning to make? That's interesting to me that people find these streams that aren't already subscribed or don't already watch the content. Like, how does that work? Can somebody answer that? Like, how do you find the stream? Does it like put it on your homepage? I didn't think it did that with streams. But that's cool. I mean, that's cool. The type of content that I've been making lately is sort of like a combination of retrospectives and fan theories about old TV shows. That's kind of the main thing that I've been making lately. I used to do a lot of political content. That used to be kind of the main thing I was known for, was making politics content, especially content about social justice and race issues. But I decided that that was pretty depressing to be involved in, and the political community on the internet is largely a bunch of lunatics. I'm being a little mean there, but giving you a broad sense of why I stopped doing that. It's just not fun to do. It's not fun to be involved in these discussions. So I switched to something that I actually enjoyed a little bit more, which is nostalgic TV. Every now and then I will do a video about something else, like music or movies, but I've kind of narrowed in on just TV because that's kind of, I grew up watching TV, and I'm sure a lot of people grew up watching TV, but I grew up watching TV, and there's just a lot of stuff that's been in my head about the old TV shows that I used to watch that I never heard anyone talk about, and so that's kind of what I've been doing lately. Like my last video was about Seinfeld, and it's mainly about how Jerry turned Elaine evil, which I don't think I've heard anyone theorize before. So it's stuff like that. It's just stuff that I've had in my head for a long time. I don't like to spoil what the next video is going to be about, but it is going to be in the same vein. I don't know anything about Kate Middleton, by the way. I don't know. Is she missing? I don't know what's going on with that. Have I done a Buffy / Angel one yet? I have not, but that would be interesting because I've actually never seen those shows, but it would be interesting to watch them for the first time now. And that's something I've actually thought about doing. I usually watch sitcoms, like most of my, or at least most of my content has been about comedy, but I am interested in watching a lot of those classic nostalgic shows, and maybe discovering some that I missed out on back then. YouTube puts all sorts of random stuff on my homepage if it's live. Interesting. That's cool. Iron Man is macaroni and cheese comfort and bacon. Add bacon, and that's Shawshank Redemption comfort. I mean, those are both good movies. Penny only married Leonard because she wanted to be Sheldon's side piece. Honestly, that's a great title for a video, especially if you can actually justify it with examples from the show. That's the type of stuff I would like to make, is just interesting theories that are actually supported by the events of the show. Like I made a video about Boy Meets World and why I think the character of Eric Matthews became such a crazy lunatic by the end of the show. And to the casual normie viewer, it was just a random change that they made just for more laughs. But if you're a nerd like me, you actually watch all 7 seasons of the show and try to figure out what exactly happened to the character that made him come out that way. Am I still in contact with FD Signifier? I wish y'all made content together, did like a podcast style discussion. Yeah, I mean, I haven't talked to him very recently, I don't think. But yeah, I mean, we're still in contact. We're still cool. I mean, I'd be down to do a collaboration. We just have to come up with a good idea that we're both interested in doing. And I think especially since my content has shifted, it maybe doesn't fit his content as much anymore, because he still kind of makes most of his videos through a political lens, which I really don't as much. What about living single or family matters? I probably will do a living single video at some point. Family matters, maybe. I can't think of anything in my head that I want to say about family matters at this current moment. But I'm sure if I rewatch the show that I will come up with something. Actually, I do. There is actually something that I could do about family matters. I don't know if I have enough content for a whole video, but something I've always thought about family matters. So growing up, I always used to hate Laura because of how mean she was to Steve Urkel. To be fair, Urkel was pretty annoying and constantly like pining after her, which I understand. It was probably pretty annoying to her. But overall, I think that Urkel was like really nice to Laura and like basically did everything for her. And so I was like upset that she was always so mean to him. But I realized that the reason that she was mean to him is because she was insecure about her own self-worth, and she didn't believe that she deserved all of the love that Urkel had for her. Or at least this is my headcanon fan theory. This is like me pitching the video to you, basically. This is what the video would be about. I think that Laura was insecure about her own self-worth, and I think that that's why she was always mean to Urkel, because she didn't believe she deserved it. And by the end, she came to realize that she was worthy of love, and that she had this guy that was like the perfect guy. Maybe not the perfect guy, but basically better for her than any other guy that she's talked to. Anyway, that's something that I could make a video about. But again, I don't know if I have enough substance there for a whole video, but I can think about it. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff I like making. I don't want to make like the typical video essay where I spend like 2 hours talking about like, and the director of this episode was blah blah blah, and he went to college at blah blah blah. Like, I don't really find that interesting. I know some people like to just give you the full backstory of whatever they're talking about, but I just want to talk about the show and what happens in the show. I want to talk about the lore of the show. That's kind of the stuff that I like talking about. Since now watching TV shows is basically your job, does it turn you off a little bit from watching TV in your leisure time? Not really, because I don't watch a lot of TV in general. I'm not really excited to watch new TV shows. So when I actually get to sit down and watch these old shows that I grew up with, or even the older shows that I knew about but never got to watch, I find that exciting. And it's kind of the only TV that I watch, so it's fine. I watch a lot of YouTube, but I don't really watch a lot of TV. When watching a show you want to do a video on, are you sitting there with a pencil taking notes? Yes. Yeah, pretty simple answer. If I'm watching a show for a video, I take extensive notes. I have learned over time that it's better to have extensive notes. I tried a couple, some of my earlier videos, I didn't take as many notes, and it was just harder to make the video that way. So yeah, I take a lot of notes. Not necessarily with the pencil. I usually type it, but yeah, it's work. Like, to some extent, I don't really get to enjoy the show in the typical way, because I'm not just sitting there enjoying it. I'm thinking about it critically, and I'm taking notes. Honestly, and usually I'm watching it at like double speed, so it's definitely not a typical viewing experience, but I still get to enjoy the show. And if you take notes, it helps you. If you're like me and you care about being the guy that like knows a bunch of random TV trivia, that really helps with that. So like, I know, for example, I've watched Boy Meets World in full like 3 or 4 times at this point, and have taken notes on it. So I know a lot about Boy Meets World. I probably know more about Boy Meets World than most people. And same thing with Seinfeld. Like, I just finished watching Seinfeld and took extensive notes on it, so I know a lot about Seinfeld now. The youngest sister went upstairs in the second season, never came back down. Yeah, I would do a video about that, but I think that's something that's been covered a bunch of times. What's a current show that you like? I don't know. Like I said, I don't watch a lot of TV. Is there a current show that I like? What's on TV? Let's see. I watch, well, I was gonna say I watch the Marvel shows, but there's not even a one that's on right now, or one that's new right now, is there? Yeah, I'm not really up to date on any current show, I don't think. There are some shows that I have seen a little bit of. Is Severance still on TV? No, that's old. I liked that, but that's not new. Yeah, I don't watch a lot of TV. Or I really don't watch TV at all. Outside of the old stuff that I watch to do my videos. Yeah, I have to finish Echo. I watched like the first three episodes. Seemed good though. But I don't know. I'm kind of a Marvel fanboy, so I probably don't have the most unbiased, or I probably don't have the most unbiased view on Marvel stuff because I'm just kind of a fanboy. Appreciate it, Kakara. My thoughts on Beavis and Butthead or Space Ghost Coast to Coast. I think both of those shows are brilliant. Appreciate it, Cooch Patrol Pooch. So would I call myself more of a show buff versus movie buff? Absolutely. I wouldn't even call myself a TV buff. I would call myself specifically a nostalgic sitcoms from the 90s to early 2000s buff. I don't really know shit about movies unless they're Marvel movies. I'm an MCU buff. Outside of that, I don't really know anything about movies. And I honestly don't know anything about TV if it's not a sitcom from the 90s or 2000s. Before the Seinfeld video, I noticed you took a big break. Are you back for good? So it's a little bit misleading. I didn't actually take that big of a break. I actually made 3 videos in between what you see, but I've removed them. Or was it 3 or 2? Maybe 2 videos. But yeah, if you see Yeah, if you look now, it looks like there was like an 8-month gap between the last video, but actually I did make a couple of videos in that time, but I took them down because I was at that time I was still trying to figure out what I was doing with my channel. And so I was trying a few things that really did not hit at all. They bombed really hard. And I have decided that the reason that happened is because I made videos for a different audience. Like, my audience didn't want those videos that I was making. I made a video about Scrabble. Like, someone asked about Scrabble earlier, which means they must have saw my video about Scrabble. And I made a video about how to improve your memory, which I think those videos are great, and they're going to be on my second channel if you're interested in that. Which I can give a link to if you want, but I just decided it was for a different audience than the audience of this channel. And I had already seen some success with making videos about old TV shows or just media in general. So I was like, I like doing that, and it seems like people will watch that. So I decided to go forward with that. But it took me a couple of months to figure that out, because I was transitioning away from the politics at that time. Which actually, yeah, but yeah, that's basically it. So I didn't really take that big of a break. I did take like a couple months break, but yeah. I should continue to make videos more consistently. In fact, my goal is to make more videos more consistently, more frequently. And I may try out different styles, different formats, but it should all be based around media retrospectives, mostly like nostalgic TV. Yeah, Echo did come out. I like I said, I need to finish it, but I did like what I saw. I still have to watch X-Men 97. Is it 97? I haven't watched that yet, and I'm not sure why I haven't watched it yet, but I will watch that. I wonder how being a content creator, you don't lose your mind since you have no fixed schedules or hard deadlines. How's your sleep not fucked up and your life not chaos with one video a year? With one video a year? Hold on, I'll answer that question. Alex One Inferno, thank you for the $4.99. Happy birthday, T1J. I've been watching you for at least 11 years now. Wow. Still have my That's Just Mito bracelet I won in a giveaway 5 years ago. Much love. That's what's up. I appreciate that. I still have a bunch of those bracelets. Maybe I'll just give them away at some point. But anyway, so what I've found as a content creator, so obviously it is great to be your own boss and to have your own schedule. And honestly, I don't think that I could function if I was not able to fix my own schedule. Historically, I've not been able to. I've always been bad at regular jobs. So I'm very lucky that I was able to make YouTube work. However, I have found that I still need to have some sort of structure and some sort of routine in my life, and I still need to give myself deadlines. Otherwise, it just won't work. So I still try to do work around the same time every day. I still try to make sure I have things done at a certain time. It's helpful for me because I have like sponsorships and brand deals on most of my videos, and those have deadlines. So those deadlines actually help, you know, put the fire under my ass to make sure that I get the work done. So, you know, I do actually have to give myself somewhat of a schedule, but I at the same time I have the flexibility where I'm like, hey, I normally would do work today, but something came up, a friend came into town, or I've got an emergency. I actually have the flexibility where I can like, okay, I'm gonna skip work today because I got something else to do. So that's great. Seven Puddings, thank you for the $5. Happy birthday. Go buy yourself a nice hat or something. I appreciate that. I have too much hair for most hats, but I'll let you know if I find something. Also, did someone become a patron? I don't see the I actually don't know how to check that, but whoever did, I appreciate that. Oh yeah, let me link to my second channel. It's called Stay Heiko. So I'm gonna drop a link in the chat to my second channel. It's just where I put the more offbeat and personal videos that don't fit the scope of my main channel. I only have a couple videos there right now, but I'm gonna add more stuff as time goes on. I also like having a second channel just because there's less pressure on the second channel to get views, so I can just kind of do whatever. Kind of reminds me of like before I was full-time YouTuber. I still want Shang-Chi 2 and Eternals 2. I would love Shang-Chi 2. I did not like Eternals that much, but you know, I will watch. I will definitely watch it if they make another one. I think they could have pulled it off, but I'm not sure that they did. Yeah, they've been talking about the Blade movie for a while. Thoughts on Peacemaker? Peacemaker was great, in my opinion. Do I still find time for tabletop games? Yep, I play D&D almost every weekend still. D&D is still like my favorite thing to do, so. But it's as what happens when you get older and when you become adults, people's time is less flexible. One of my best friend who is part of the D&D game, he just got married, and so that is, you know, that causes more interruptions and more time. So we play when we can, but we still play pretty consistently. Try to every week. If not that, then a few times a month. Also liked your review on The Princess and the Frog. Appreciate that. So yeah, that is an example of a video that is not about a TV show. So every now and then I will do something like that if I feel like I have something to say. That community video. Yeah, community would be, I don't have anything specific to say about community, but I think that there's got to be a video in there somewhere. How often will you try to post videos? I'm not sure. I would like to do like 2 a month, but the thing about the TV retrospectives is they take a long time to make because I have to watch the show. And I've thought about, like, you know, maybe I don't have to literally watch every episode, but I think that's how I get those interesting details that really sell the argument I'm trying to make is by actually watching every episode and really gathering all the details. So it's hard to make the videos quickly because they involve watching an entire series from beginning to end, which takes a while, even if you're watching on double speed. But I'm thinking of doing easier videos to make sort of in between each of the main essays. And you'll see what that looks like going forward. And we'll see if anyone is into it. If people don't like the other style of videos, then I'll stop making them. But I'm just thinking of stuff like, you know, like YouTube-y type stuff. Like maybe I can react to a new show, or I can do like, you know, ranking my top 10 favorite sitcoms, etc., stuff like that. Just like little sort of fun videos that are easier to make than the normal video essays that I do. Happy birthday, sativa or indica. Either's fine. I guess sativa if I have to pick. Since you mentioned sponsor, those must be a nightmare where you were taking advantage of, especially in the beginning, right? I wouldn't call it a nightmare, but it is something that you have to learn how to navigate as a content creator. Because especially once your channel starts to grow and once you start to get a decent number of viewers and subscribers, you will start to get pretty much bombarded with emails from different companies and brands that are like, hey, like fucking promote our video or promote our product and we'll give you some money. A lot of the times the products they want you to promote are just straight up scams. Sometimes they're just shitty products, like some shitty mobile game might want you to promote them and it's just not a very good game and you have to like pretend that it's good, and it's like that's gross. And then there are companies that are legitimate companies but have kind of weird or unethical or shitty business practices that sometimes you just don't know about unless you do a ton of research, which you don't always have the time or willingness to, you know, spend all day researching some company. So yeah, it can be a challenge. I'm lucky now that I work with Nebula and Standard, which is a company that owns Nebula, and they help me vet out sponsors. And a lot of times I'm just promoting Nebula, like the sponsor is Nebula, so that's easy because I'm on Nebula and I fully support Nebula. It's a good platform. But even outside of that, they help me vet these companies, and over time you kind of learn, like there's certain things that I personally won't accept the sponsorship with, just because of my own views or things that I know about the company, or just things that don't really sit right with me. Like I probably won't do like a mobile game sponsorship. Like don't quote me on that, because you never know. Like if Raid Shadow Legends gives me like 100K to do a promotion, I'm fucking doing it. So I apologize in advance if that's going to be annoying, but I'm taking the 100K. But in general, usually those games are trash and not good, and mainly just ways to like funnel money from people through microtransactions, and it usually doesn't sit well with me. And then there's other things like BetterHelp is a very controversial one. I don't know all the details about BetterHelp, but a lot of people are saying that BetterHelp is an unethical company and they've got a lot of problematic issues which seems a bit weird to me because so many people still do BetterHelp sponsorships. But I probably won't ever do a BetterHelp sponsorship strictly because I don't agree with for-profit healthcare. I don't think it's a thing that should exist. So it would be sort of very hypocritical of me to accept a sponsorship from a company that purports to provide healthcare to people for a profit. So, example. Those are examples. I really wonder, how do you know what to charge a sponsor and not be taken for a ride? Do you ask other creators? Yes, that's what you need to do. Like I said, right now I work with a company that helps out with all that stuff, and they help negotiate good prices and good fees to charge. But if you're just kind of starting out and you don't know, you absolutely should talk to other creators, because that is, brands kind of take advantage of that. They know that there's no standard price, and they know that creators don't talk to each other about it. And in general, just like within the other industry, people don't like to talk about money, and they don't like to tell other people how much money they make. But that's definitely something people should do, is talk to other creators, see how much they make, or at least see how much they're charging for sponsorships, and compare it and see what you think you can get away with charging. I don't know if anyone in here actually is in this situation or needs this advice, but I think you should always charge more than you think, because A, you never know what people will agree to, and B, the worst that could happen is they say no, and probably the negotiation will continue after that. But even if they say no and leave, that's fine. Maybe do a movie review in between. Yeah, I thought about that too, but it's weird. You would think that people who are really into TV would also be really into movies, but it seems like it's two different audiences. Movies just seems like it's a different audience than TV shows. And usually when I review a movie, it doesn't get that many views. The Princess and the Frog video did okay, but I've done other videos with movie reviews and they just don't really get many views. But that's a good idea, because movies, it takes a lot less time to watch a movie than to watch a TV show, a TV series. So I might try that. God, I remember back in the day when your videos would have a wall with a ton of shit all over it. I specifically remember a big Atlanta Braves poster or pennant. It wasn't Atlanta Braves, it was Alabama Crimson Tide. I have it in here. I don't know if I can move the camera to see it. Can I do it? There it is. You see it in the back there? It's Alabama. I don't know if that's the exact same one that used to be in my room, but yeah, same thing. I mean, I will say the Alabama A and the Atlanta Braves A do look similar, but they are not the same. They are definitely different. Thank you, Bartleby. Thank you, Adrenaline Flux. Thank you, Praise the Sun. I used to get UGC gigs last year. It's much harder now that many creators are willing to do it for super cheap. Yeah, like I said, these orgs kind of understand that, and I do think people need to. The thing about, if you're an up and coming creator, that first time someone offers you to give you money, it's like really hard to turn that down. But hopefully people start to understand more and more that, like, I don't know if y'all understand, these brands will pay a shit ton of money. Like, but small, like up and coming creators don't necessarily know that. So they'll be like, hey, you know, I've got 10,000 subscribers and I'll promote your product for $100. That's like 100 more than I've made. But you could probably get so much more money than that. It's great. Like, you would be surprised what some of these brands are paying for these sponsorships. On Nebula, do you guys share the revenue from the subscription money? How on earth is the cut decided? Yes, it's complicated. I don't exactly know every single formula in math, but basically if we directly get someone to sign up through, you know, our link, we get a cut of that, but we also get a cut of when people watch our videos. And so it's kind of based on watch time. So if you can get a lot of people to watch your videos on Nebula, you get a little bit more money. So yeah, it's basically a combination of a cut of the actual subscription and a cut of the watch time. You have the same birthday as my grandma and Nia Jax. Is Nia Jax's birthday today? I didn't know that. Happy birthday to your grandma. That's weird that TV shows and movies have different audiences, but it definitely makes sense. Yeah, it is a bit weird, but I don't know. I think I just have to find a way to make it appealing in the right way. So, you know, I think maybe part of the reason, and this is something that I've kind of realized, is people really like, at least my audience really likes the older nostalgic stuff. Whenever I try to do something about something recent, it doesn't work. I think, I don't know, maybe it's just the age of my audience. I don't know, but, and maybe I just need to do more older nostalgic movies, or maybe stick to comedies, since I make a lot of videos about comedy shows. I don't know. But you know, it's, a lot of YouTube is just trial and error. You never know what people are going to be into. And also it's okay if the video doesn't get 1 million views, you know. If I make a video and it only gets like 20,000 views, that's less than average for me. But that's still 20,000 people, you know. That's still a lot of people. And especially if I'm making multiple videos per month, I can afford to have one video that doesn't do very well. The issue now is I do a video like once a month or once every 6 weeks. And if that video does poorly, then that's a really big hit to me because it's the only video I've done in several months or several weeks. So that's why I want to try to increase the frequency, but it's a lot of work. I hope to, you know, hire editors and such that will help, but that requires money. It's kind of a weird cycle because, you know, I need money to pay the editors to help me get more views, but I need to get more views in order to get more money to pay the editors. So it's a weird thing. Ultimately, I'm just gonna have to like take a financial hit as an investment and hope that it pays off. Wait, since you're from Alabama, why don't you have the heavy Southern accent? Or did you move there after your accent was formed? That's a question I get all the time. I think so. So there's a couple of things there. So for one, my family is not from Alabama. I've been in Alabama since I was a very small child. I wasn't born here, but I've been here since I was like 8, I think. But my family's not from Alabama. My mom is not from Alabama, and my dad is not from Alabama. So we didn't necessarily talk like that in the house, so that's part of it. But I think I did have more of a Southern accent when I was younger, just from hanging out with my friends and such. And in fact, if you go to my channel, and look at the oldest videos way back in the day, like probably there's some from like 2008. I think if you watch those videos, you'll see I have a much stronger accent in those videos. And I think just over time, I just kind of lost the accent. I think just from, I don't know. I mean, I don't know exactly how, but I think part of how I gained the accent is because I wanted to fit in and I wanted to sound cool and I wanted to, I wanted to talk like my friends and stuff. And then I think over time I just stopped caring about that. And so I just wanted to speak in a way that helped me communicate better. And I think I was consuming a lot of content that was quote unquote intellectual, that these people had a very sort of proper way of speaking, and I probably picked up on that a lot. So I don't know. I don't really know why, but those are my theories about why that happened. But yeah, if you watch my old content, I have like more of a accent. And I still have an accent on certain things. It slips out here and there if you pay attention. Like the one that I tend to notice is on long I words like 5 or light. Every now and then I might be like 5 or light. Instead of light, I'll be light 5. So it still comes out. Do you know Vision from Marvel? He's the best android ever. Sure. I like Vision. Happy birthday, mofo. You good though? I'm good. I'm chilling. What are my top 3 movies of all time? I just say Kill Bill, Jackie Brown, and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. In terms of like movies that I think are like really good, in terms of movies that are just comfort movies that I can watch over and over, and we talked about this earlier, but I always say Addams Family, Values, Hook, Rush Hour. Robin, thank you for the $20. Happy birthday. I appreciate that. I think T1J has just consumed so much media and been on the internet for so long that it necessarily affects you linguistically, not even talking about his family influence. Yeah, it has to be related to the media that I've watched and just the people that I've encountered. And I've always been sort of like, not that having a Southern accent is like a sign of less intelligence or anything like that. But I think a lot of the people that I looked up to in my formative years were people that spoke very eloquently, and I don't even think I speak that eloquently, but they definitely didn't. They pronounced things in sort of like the received pronunciation and that sort of thing. So I think I probably just was influenced by that. Tried to super chat, but my debit just expired, so my saved expiration date and security code's got to be changed. I mean, that's fine. Anyway, have you seen Scissor yet? Still prefer Scyther? Well, see, that's a little tidbit that, I mean, I guess I probably said it on stream, but yeah, I've always said, I don't know that much about Pokemon, but I've always said that my favorite Pokemon is Scyther, and I still would say that Scyther is way better than Scizor for sure. You seem way more chill and content than other creators when it comes to video performance. Does the YouTube thing that compares the last 10 videos not harm your mental health as much, or do you not look at it? Oh, trust me, this is the result of many years of me being super stressed out about YouTube content. I would not say that I'm like I mean, listen, I go to my analytics page all the time. I look at the 10 out of 10 thing all the time. So no, I'm not immune to that at all. But I had I don't know, I had like almost like an existential crisis about my YouTube and like where it was going and if it was actually working. Like I mentioned before, I made a couple videos that completely bombed harder than anything I'd ever made, simply because it was just a little bit outside of the scope of what people subscribe for. And that like really bummed me out and made me think that maybe I don't understand YouTube as much as I thought I did. And it also caused a pretty big financial hit, because if you're used to a certain standard of video and then the next like 2 or 3 videos just completely bomb, your AdSense money reflects that. So that was pretty stressful. But I just had to sort of take a second to be like, okay, what do I want to do on this channel? And what is the balance between what I like doing and what people like watching? And I just had sort of a misunderstanding about how YouTube works. Like, once you kind of understand that YouTube doesn't really owe you anything, it's really all on you to figure out what you need to do. I don't know, it really helps me out. And that's something this kind of goes back to what we were talking about really at the beginning of the stream, for those of you that have been here since then. I was talking about how you shouldn't worry about things that you can't change, but when there are things that you can change, that's what you should focus on. And it kind of reflects back to YouTube. It's like, it's all on me. Like, if I make a video and it gets 10 out of 10, I could just be bummed out about it. I could just be like, oh, YouTube hates me. Or I could just figure out, what can I do to make the videos better? Or what can I do to make the videos more appealing? And so that's what I've kind of settled on, is like, being stressed out doesn't help anything. So how can I fix the problem? Like, what is the problem? Let's try to figure out the problem. Let's try to fix it. But I definitely was not always like that. In fact, as recent as 6 months ago, I didn't have that disposition. I was very stressed out about YouTube. So if I seem chill and content, that means that I've learned some things quite recently. Vision's getting his own show? I don't think I knew that. So I moved. No, I didn't. I still live in Alabama. A lot of people from the South talk about how they're judged in academic or artistic circles as dumb and simple, which makes them change their accents. Yeah, I could see that. I don't think that's my experience. It's just something that sort of naturally happened based on whatever I was watching. I watch a lot of YouTube, and that probably might be part of it. And not many of the YouTubers I watched were from the South. So I probably picked up. That's something I notice, is I pick up speaking habits and tics from creators that I really like. And that probably happens to a lot of people, but I don't know, there's like certain affectations and stuff that people do that I kind of subconsciously, but maybe even consciously sometimes pick up on. Like, there's I don't know if anybody used to watch the Cracked YouTube channel, but I used to be obsessed with Cracked. And if you know the content I make now, you can see the inspiration, because they used to make a lot of videos about pop culture and TV and movies, and they have their like fan theories and stuff about that stuff. And so there's one of the guys on Cracked is this guy, Daniel O'Brien. And he has a specific way of talking that I consciously / subconsciously picked up on. Jonathan, thank you for the $2. Testing, I got my payment method fixed. Awesome, I appreciate that. But it's hard to explain, but he has this way of talking where he like takes pauses while he talks and like I don't know, it's hard to explain, but I still do it like in my videos and probably in my day-to-day life. It's hard to describe. You have to watch Daniel Bryan to see how he talks, but yeah, so I think that sort of stuff is probably like how I lost the accent. My father told me when he was young he had heard a recording of himself and hated the way he sounded. Made a real impact. As we're getting closer to the election, are you getting tempted to wade back into political content? I enjoy all your content, by the way. I appreciate that. I'm not getting tempted to wade back into political content. In fact, I'm less tempted. I am avoiding it more and more because people get wilder and wilder the closer it gets to the election, and I am less and less interested in discussing politics with people, especially around election time. I don't know, as a person who I have to edit my videos a lot, and so I listen to my own voice all the time, and I don't think I ever had a super big problem with my own voice, but it's definitely something you have to get used to as a content creator. Isn't the heavy Southern accent mostly an exaggeration, meaning those people are rare? For example, do you even meet people with heavy accents in real life? Absolutely. It's not an exaggeration. There are definitely, I will say I live in the city, and so the accents are less thick for the most part in the city. However, even in the city, every now and then you find someone with a thick accent, but as soon as you go to the rural areas, absolutely, people have super thick Southern accents. It's absolutely a thing. I think a lot of people hate hearing themselves. Yeah, I think so as well. Same with happened with crack. They were doing God's work, but money and all. Yeah. The same thing happened to College Humor. Luckily, College Humor is able to bounce back with Dropout, but Cracked, they still make videos on Cracked, but it's definitely a shell of what it used to be. Ever been to Maine? I have never been to Maine, actually. I've been to almost every state on the East Coast, but not Maine. Appreciate it. One up, dog. GMO, thank you for the $9.99. Happy birthday, broski. Ever submit anything for publication, like an academic setting or some related arena? No. No, I don't think of myself as having the credibility to do something like that. In D&D, do you allow critical role stuff like Echo Knight, Dunamancy? Been debating that lately with friends. Yeah, generally. As the DM, my general rule is if the players want to do it, then let's find a way to make it work. I try to say no to players as rarely as possible. I think the goal of D&D should be to make sure everyone has as much fun as they want as they want to have. And I mean, the critical role stuff is is less of a big deal because it was made with balance in mind. Like Matt Mercer wasn't trying to break the game with this stuff. I think you just have to be careful with other homebrew type stuff. But even with other homebrews, I still will take a look at it and see how we can make it work. Like we've added a lot of homebrew stuff in our games, and we've used all the Critical Role stuff. Well, not all. I don't think I've had Dunamancy in my games yet, but like one of my players has played a Blood Hunter. I don't really like Gunslinger, so I actually made my own homebrew version of Gunslinger. But so yeah, we've used that stuff. Come visit Maine, I'll buy you a lobster roll. I would like to visit Maine. And also a lobster roll sounds great. I'm totally in the same boat, player choice. If it's overpowered, just throw an extra monster in there or something. Yeah, I mean, I think there are certain homebrews that just completely break the game and make it kind of trivially easy, but I'm generally in favor of letting the players do stuff. And even myself, I like giving the players like powerful stuff, like powerful magic items or, you know, upgrades and stuff. I think that's fun. Have I encountered much open racism in my life in Alabama, or is it more close to the chest? I would say it's generally close to the chest. I think that most people realize that being openly racist is socially unacceptable, so most people don't do it. But I hear things secondhand all the time. I hear about things, and sometimes I make inferences based on my experiences. You know, I've dealt with some of the typical things that many black people, especially black men, have dealt with, like going into a store and being eyed or followed around by the people who work there, or having someone lock their car door if you're nearby, or having someone cross the street when you're approaching, you know, things like that. Obviously, I can't read these people's hearts and say that it's due to racism, but I think it's a pretty safe bet. And there's other things. I hear stories all the time, like, you know, I'm positive. Well, I'm not positive, but I'd be willing to bet that many of you white folks in here have been around other white folks being openly racist when there are no non-white people around. I'm sure that has happened, and I have heard about that happening in relation to me many times. Generally, people don't openly do it to your face, although I have had that happen, but it's rare because people understand that you will be socially ostracized if you do stuff like that. MCDM monsters are my jam. That's something I want to get the MCDM book. They just put it on D&D Beyond, which is cool. The MCDM monster book. What is objectively the best cryptid? I don't know. There's so many cryptids out there that I'm not familiar with. That's something I learned not too long ago. There's like so many monsters of lore throughout history and throughout the world. I'm a fan of the jackalope. Does that count? Jordy, thank you for the kind words. Being seen as dangerous when you know you are totally harmless is very strange. For me personally, it makes me laugh since it's so bizarre, but not everyone is the same. Yeah, I mean, it's not... I think as a person of color, you kind of get used to certain things, and sometimes you even forget that you're dealing with racism because it's just like, oh, you know, some people are just weird. Thank you for the kind words, Aldemar. Appreciate it, Wandering Chicken. Yeah, Flee Mortals and Where Evil Lives. I believe both of those are being added to D&D Beyond, which is good because I use D&D Beyond frequently. I got to play D&D with Matt Colville and some other folks not too long ago. That was tight. Honestly, if I would have discovered D&D earlier in my career, I'd probably be making videos about D&D instead of what I do now. But how old am I? I'm 39 years old. Getting up there. Appreciate it, Adam. Nick Kennedy, thank you for the 20. Glad I stumbled upon this stream. You don't get a cookie for being nice video a million years ago legit changed my outlook on life for the better. Thanks, dude. Happy birthday. I appreciate that very much. Thank you so much. That video, I mean, that video put me on the map, you know? And I've gotten a lot of messages from people that said that video helped them, so that's good. I think that was just a message at that time that wasn't being shared a lot. So I'm glad that people got something from it. I need to shave I keep itching my nose because this mustache. I don't see how people have big bushy mustaches. Whenever my mustache gets even a little thick, it just starts irritating my nose and I hate it. I need to cut it. I'm sure, you know, if you have a big mustache, you get used to it, but I cannot stand it. My girlfriend just made me watch The Notebook, and I feel like that movie whitewashes the history of racism. Did I pay too much for my degree? Am I right? I don't think I've ever seen The Notebook before. So I'm not sure what that movie's about. But that's a common thing for movies to do, so I don't know. Would love to hear any highlights from the game with Matt Colville. Big inspiration for me, for sure. It's on the internet, I think. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see, how do I find it? Yeah, here we go. I'll link you to it. It was just a little one shot that we did, that they did we did one of the one shots from Where Evil Lives, actually, or one of the dungeons. It was just for them to promote it. So I'll drop a link if you want to watch it. I played a barbarian. Wait, is this the right one? I have the same issue with my facial hair. I use the Norelco One Blade. Highly recommend. Word. Yeah, I usually... I experimented for a while with letting my facial hair grow, but my facial hair doesn't grow fully. It just grows kind of patchy. So it doesn't usually look very good if I let it grow. So I just usually keep it trimmed, but I've been a little bit lazy for the past few weeks. I was going to call you a certified nerd due to the D&D stuff, especially since I watched your video about being a nerd, but D&D is becoming way more mainstream, right? Or is more popular but still niche? I think it's becoming more popular. I don't know. The thing about being a nerd is like being a nerd is such a nebulous thing now. Like, what does that mean? And is being a nerd even like a subculture anymore, or is it just mainstream to be a nerd now? Because a lot of the stuff that is associated with nerds, well, like for example, if you think about stuff that is not nerdy, a lot of it is like what is not nerdy? Sports. But I don't know. I think it just depends on your community, because, for example, most people that I know either play or have played D&D. I actually had a friend tell me not too long ago, maybe like a year ago, she was like, "Can you teach me how to play D&D? Because everyone I know plays it and I feel left out." Which is crazy to me. Like, that doesn't seem like a thing that people would say. So it's definitely getting more popular. But you know, I do think it's nerdy. It's still nerdy. And I don't necessarily. I have a complicated relationship with the idea of being a nerd. Like, I think it's fine to be considered a nerd, but there's this idea of what a nerd is that maybe I don't fully envelop. I mean, there's a lot of nerdy stuff. Like, I'm super into most stuff that is considered nerdy. So I guess I'm a nerd. But there's also, you know, there's like the stereotypical things that are associated with nerds. Like, nerds are not into sports. Nerds are socially awkward, things like that. And I don't really identify with those aspects of whatever a nerd is. So I don't know. It's like, what even is a nerd? Appreciate it, Esther. I, a white man, have surprisingly heard several African Americans complain about new immigrants from Africa. They'll group us together as Americans before caring about ancestry. They're complaining about it. I mean, I don't doubt it. I don't know exactly what you mean specifically. Do you have a second favorite TTRPG? Yes, my second favorite is Vampire the Masquerade for sure. I love Vampire. Appreciate it, Waylon. Do I have a favorite recent media production? Have I seen the rebooted X-Men animated series? I haven't watched it yet. I need to watch it. As for recent media, the only current media I watch is probably YouTube. I don't really watch movies or current TV shows. I saw somewhere that Madden was RPG for jocks. Would you agree? Well, not necessarily for jocks, but for people who like sports. I don't know if I would say that Madden is an RPG, but You could say fantasy football is an RPG for jocks. That's definitely closer to being an RPG than Madden. Madden is just a competitive football simulation. Like, it's not extremely, like, you can get pretty nerdy about Madden, but I don't think Madden is as crunchy as an RPG. But you can definitely get nerdy about it. You know, I think Madden, like, when compared to other competitive games, is definitely right in the same arena as, like, you know, like more nerdier type of games like League of Legends or maybe like a fighting game or something. It's like definitely in the same arena as those. Appreciate it, John Smith. I'm 49 and I wonder if you can pick up D&D as an the way old ladies used to play canasta. I don't think I know what canasta is. But yes, absolutely. I think that the vast majority of people who play D&D are adults. And I think the majority of people who are discovering D&D now are older people, like in the 30s and 40s and such. So it's the perfect time to pick up D&D. That's one of the things that I like about D&D. D&D is definitely can be played by children. And I think it's cool for children to play. I think it's perfect for children to play. But I think D&D is a game for adults. I think the point of the game is to be played by adults. And that's one of the things that I like about it. It's like this really fun, nerdy hobby that's still kind of grown up. You know, there's some pretty like adult themes in D&D for the most part. Obviously, you can make it more child friendly if you want, but on the surface, it's very adult. There's a lot of murder and, you know, intense themes like racism and assault and like even like things like love and sex and stuff. Like, it's a very adult game. I think everyone should play D&D though. No matter your age, everyone should play it. It's very good. Or any other RPG, but D&D is the easiest to get your hands on and the easiest to find people that know how to play it. In sports, confident, someone right-leaning. I'm just honest with myself. Black, try not to be a gigantic dick. All I know is this. Life is too vast to conform to identities. I mean, I think it's okay to have an identity. I think people get too involved in like tribes and such. I think that's the problem. But if you are confident in your own identity, I think that's fine. You know, I identify, like, I love D&D and I'm happy to be identified as a D&D lover. If that's like a nerd or whatever, that's fine. I don't mind that. I have certain views that I am happy to be identified with. The issue is when people identify themselves. Well, one problem is people identify themselves through things that they hate rather than things that they like. I think that's a problem. And another problem is people identify themselves based on what will give them the most social currency or clout, I guess. And this is, you know, that sounds like very cynical, but I think everybody does that to some extent. I'm definitely guilty of that, where even if it's not totally conscious, but it's like, man, if I have the wrong opinion, I could be ostracized by my community. I think that's a real issue that people think about. And that's one of the reasons why I stopped participating in political communities, because there was a lot of pressure to not have the wrong opinion. And that's just not a way to live your life. So I think those are the issues where identity can be a problem. But I think if you have, you know, positive identifications with things that actually bring you joy in life, I think that's great. Jonathan Davis, thank you for the $5. Get yourself some anti-itch lotion. I just need to shave my mustache. That's really it. I also think that there's something about the lights that make me itch. This is something that I've noticed with streams. Like I have these bright lights just to make myself visible. But I think the light makes me itch. That's a thing, right? Maybe the light is like the heat from the light is drying out my face and it makes me itch. Or maybe I'm nervous or something. I don't know. I don't feel nervous, but you never know. Complicating the term nerd, there are totally sports nerds. Yeah, I mean, you can be a nerd about anything, like depending, and then, you know, some people differentiate between nerd and geek or whatever. But yeah, most sports fans that I know are huge nerds about sports. But, you know, you can be a nerd about fashion. You can be a nerd about cars. There's just like certain things that are like stereotypically associated with nerds. The fact that you could lose your social circle by expressing or changing an opinion is very harmful. I agree, definitely. But some of it is indeed this mustache that's just like going in my nose. But I think the light is part of it as well. So I'm probably going to end the stream in about 10 minutes. I just want to do a quick little birthday stream. It's been about 2 hours. Another lively conversation as usual. I appreciate that. Who's my favorite author? I don't read enough books to have a favorite author, I don't think. I have not read, I can't think of an author who I have read more than one book from. Actually, that's not true. I've read both of Lindsay Ellis's books. Well, she only has 2. I think the third one isn't out yet. I've read 2 of her books. And I've read several John Green books. So I'll just say John Green, even though, I don't know. That's probably not true, but I've liked all of the books I've read. That's a known nerve response, more commonly triggers sneezing, but I know what you mean. You're talking about the light. Appreciate it, Victoria. Since you're in Alabama, does that mean the taxes are not too bad? Most sexy subject of all, taxes. I don't know the taxes in other places, but I do know that the cost of living in Alabama is lower than a lot of cities in America. So it's decent in that sense. Have I watched either Avatar series? And if so, let's hear some hot takes. I actually have not seen much of the Avatar stuff. That could be another potential video topic, is me exploring Avatar for pretty much the first time. I've seen some episodes of the first series, but yeah, I don't know a lot about the Avatar series. It was kind of like, it's not that it was, I was gonna say that I was too old for it, but I definitely wasn't too old for it. But I think that people who are a little bit younger than me were the ones that were really watching Avatar: The Last Airbender. And I think at that time I was watching like MTV or some shit. Like I maybe like stopped watching cartoons for a little bit. What has been your greatest success and your greatest regret? That's a difficult question. I probably am yet to achieve my greatest success. But I don't know. I don't know if I can tell you my greatest success and regret, but I can tell you a success and a regret. I think as far as regrets go, one of the biggest lessons I've learned in life is to not take people or things for granted. I think when you're young, you don't understand how quickly things could change and how quickly your life can change. So you kind of take everything for granted. Like if you have something, you assume it's always going to be there. And if you have someone in your life, you assume that they're always going to be there. And eventually you learn that's not necessarily the case. You could lose a person overnight almost sometimes. And you can lose the things that you have very quickly. So I think one of my biggest regrets growing up was taking things and particularly people for granted and not showing appreciation for the things that I cared about and kind of assuming they would always be there no matter what, no matter how I acted or no matter what the situation was. So I would say that's a big regret. And I think one of the biggest lessons that I have learned as far as successes go is learning that how to phrase it. Basically learning that life is kind of what you make it. Like life is kind of it's all about priorities. And if you want something, you have to do, like, basically the idea, like, have you heard the phrase, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different results? I kind of hate that phrase because it's like, why is it tied to insanity? Like, that's weird. But the message of that is absolutely true. And once I figured out that, and it seems so obvious, but even though it is obvious, I feel like most people don't do it. It's like, if you want something to change about your life, then you have to do something different. So like if you're not getting the results that you want from whatever that you're doing, you need to do something different. And that's something that I didn't realize until quite recently. Like I kind of had this idea that I was just gonna keep doing something and just hope that it works out for the better. And that's just not how life works. If you want that good result, you have to do the things necessary to get that result. It's not just gonna magically happen. So like, I don't know. Like for me, an example is I do YouTube for a living, and it's awesome. Definitely the best job I've ever had. And I'm not saying, oh, anybody can just pick up a camera and do YouTube for a living, just go do it. I decided that I wanted to do it. And I realized it's not just going to happen. It's not just something that's going to magically fall into my lap. I actually have to go do it. I have to figure out how to do it. I have to literally go research and figure out like what are the best steps to make this happen. So that's an example. Nah, you definitely were too old for it, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think I was necessary. I mean, I don't really think there's I don't think there's a such thing as being too old for something. Like if it's good, it's good. But perhaps I wasn't the target audience. But me being a certain age kind of made me not super excited about watching it. But I'm sure if I did watch it, I would like it. But for example, there are shows that I've enjoyed that I'm technically too old for. Like for example, Adventure Time, I think is one of the greatest shows ever made. And that show was loved by people of all ages for sure. So I think I was just a shitty young adult or however old I was and was just more interested in watching like fucking MTV and shit at the time rather than watching cartoons. But I know that if I watched it, I probably would like it. Have I thought of gambling as a means of investment? I mean, no. I did play online poker pretty seriously for a while, which is technically gambling, but poker is a game that you can actually beat if you are good at it. And I was okay at it. Probably not good enough to like do it for a living, but I was okay enough to like to win at like very low stakes poker. Appreciate it, M. Jubecki. Appreciate it, Nicole. Where do I make most of my income? YouTube or Patreon? Right now, YouTube, AdSense, Patreon, and brand deals are around equal in terms of how much they bring in. Do you do cardio? If so, how would you keep your dreads clean? I don't understand the question. Do you mean like clean from sweat? Anyway, I walk. I don't do any super intense cardio, but I walk a lot. I walk every day. So that's the cardio that I do. But yeah. Appreciate it, Mekio. Appreciate it, Rabbit Dude. And we'll end the stream here in the next couple minutes. So answer 2 or 3 more questions if you have any. Appreciate it, Chotenk. Chotenk? I don't know. Before I go, what's my opinion on Sweet Home Alabama? The song? The incest memes. I don't think I know what that is. All throughout the stream, I'm just getting a lot of birthday messages from people. What are some of my favorite bands? Well, much like movies and TV, I'm pretty out of touch with music as well, so I just listen to the music that I grew up listening to. I was really big into the grunge era, so I probably like Nirvana is probably my favorite band of all time. Also love hip hop. I don't know if you mean hip hop when you say bands, but there are hip hop bands like The Roots who are great. Appreciate it, Amber. Paper or plastic? I guess paper. Music taste seems to be completely a product of what you listen to young for everyone. Yeah, I think almost every taste for everything is a product of what you experience in your formative years. Like there's obviously new music that I like, or newer music. I don't really keep up, but there's certain things that I like for sure. But I like, especially when it comes to like hip hop, a lot of the rap music that comes out now I just do not get at all. And a lot of it is just because it's not what I grew up listening to. It's different, and I don't get it. And that's fine. It's not for me. I'm not the target audience. But I guess we'll end the stream there. I appreciate everybody coming and hanging out with me on my birthday. It was a great conversation as usual. And thanks for all the birthday wishes. Thanks for all the gifts and super chats and such. I kept it chilled today. I didn't do anything special for my birthday, but I thought I would come and, chat with the community, and it was pleasant as I expected. So I appreciate that, everyone. Keep on the lookout for a new video coming probably in the next couple weeks. And I will probably try to stream again at some point in those weeks. If you like chill conversation like this, consider joining my Discord channel. If you don't know, I have a Discord server. I'll drop a link. And the server is literally is just a chill place to hang out and talk about various subjects. I designed it as just a chill place to hang out on the internet because I feel like there are not that many chill friendly places to hang out on the internet anymore. So I figured I would just make it myself. So if you want to help us grow the Discord community, come through the Discord. I just dropped a link in the chat, so come check it out. And I guess that is it. I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.